Hello, my name is Emily Myers, and I graduated from the University of San Diego with a master's in education, focusing on TESOL, literacy, and culture in May of 2015. It's currently March 2016, so I've been out for almost 9 months. As I approached my final semester in graduate school and as I was beginning to take my graduate capstone seminar, which is EDUC 580, I felt really confident and very excited to be going into the final stages of the graduate program. The fall beforehand had given me a background in research methods and design, and the year and a half before that had provided me with excellent groundwork for teaching in the ESOL environments. I was lucky enough to be placed in my own classroom to complete my practicum work, and therefore I had a lot of control over my action research project. At that point, I had been working at a private language school in San Diego for 6 months, so I felt very confident with my students, coworkers, the administrative staff, and the classroom environment in general. At the end of my fall semester, I had completed a proposal which I turned into my research methods professor, and that I assumed would be the outline for my action research project in the spring. The proposal was the outline which was based on English as an international language and how to raise confidence levels in speaking within my students. I had discovered a disconnect between the information I had been receiving in my English as an international language EIL class in the fall, as well as the information I was being given by my students in my classes in the fall as well. So I wanted to research how to raise confidence levels in accentedness within my classroom. I immediately felt very passionate about my action research proposal, and I was excited to see that it passed with above average scores. Upon reflection, I knew that it was my passion to solve the issue at hand that really showed through my proposal and helped me enormously when it came to the coursework that I was completing. I was excited about what I was doing, and so I really went into completing the coursework with vigor and optimism. I didn't feel like it was a huge hurdle that I had to overcome. I was truly excited about trying to solve this problem that I had seen within my classrooms. As I started EDUC 580, I detailed the intended research project within my IRB proposal. This was the first time that I began creating materials for my action research project, and I realized the enormity of the task at hand. Throughout the process, I met with my research advisor as well as my EDUC 580 professor to discuss the direction my research was taking, and I asked for any suggestions on the design and implementation of my project. I was very lucky as my EDUC 580 professor had been conducting her own research into English as an international language, and my research advisor was an English language learner with a strong accent to her speech. So I realized I could not have been paired up with a better support system as I proceeded to conduct the first phase of my AR project. I truly felt that I had people supporting me and believing in me, and 2 individuals that I could contact for any questions or any help. I didn't feel like I was doing this by myself. I felt that I was given a certain sense of autonomy, but that I also had a support system to rely on as I started my AR proposal. Throughout the semester, I met with my advisor quite a few times to make sure I was on the right track, and I would give my professor synopses of my research as the project proceeded. And how it was going. However, I felt I was very confident in my research topic, the implementation, the analysis, and the data. And due to that, I found myself acting very independently as I proceeded throughout the semester. I really tried to rely on myself, and while this led to a decrease in stress, throughout the semester, this independent action really resulted in an overwhelming moment at the end of the semester, which I will address later. Something that I found to be very valuable was being paired up with a research friend from my cohort to work collaboratively throughout the semester. We went to watch each other's classes and we gave each other input. I greatly appreciated this part of the research process because it gave me a sense of autonomy and support at the same time, which I realized is kind of those two ideas counteract each other, but I felt that I was able to act independently, but when I needed to, I had somebody on my same level to go to for questions. Also, I was able to express some of my frustrations and feelings to someone who was going through the same process that I was going through. When I went to meet with my advisor and my professor, I felt that I needed to be composed and give them the sense that everything was okay. And most of the time it was very okay. But I did feel like I needed to show them that I was succeeding, and I was a little self-conscious about showing them anything less than that. So through my research friend, I was able to be a little bit more honest and open, and could be a truer version of myself as a researcher because I knew that she wouldn't be overwhelmed and that she wouldn't lose faith in me. Upon reflection, I understand that my advisor and professor would have never lost faith in me, and that was myself projecting onto them. But having someone on the same level to commiserate was a really important process throughout the AR project. I knew that I could go to this friend and she could go to me, and it was a mutual relationship. I actually use this in my writing classes that I teach currently. For each essay my students are assigned, they are given a writing best friend so that they have an additional level of support throughout their bigger assignments. So I was able to implement something that was provided to me in school into my classes that I teach currently. A lot of the reflection that I am mentioning here came at the end of my research process instead of throughout it. And I feel as though I should have done a lot more reflecting while I was conducting research instead of right at the end. I was so focused on meeting deadlines and being where I was supposed to be that I glossed over the reflection part and chose rather to keep my research on track in where I thought it should be at the time. I tried not to let anything deter me from continuing on instead of pausing. Although my professor stressed the importance of reflection over and over again, I actually made a private blog onto which to reflect, but I always put it off and found myself to be too busy to do this. We were required to do some weekly journals, and that did help on the reflection process, but I should have done a bit more independent reflecting. I've spent a lot of time since the conclusion of my action research project reflecting on my graduate education, my action research, and all that I have learned. And I've truly realized the importance of allowing yourself time for you throughout anything that you go through, and how you need to be comfortable being on your own schedule instead of the one assigned to you or the one expected to you. I really believe that this is a monumental life lesson and something that I can apply throughout my life forever. The period of intense reflection that happened was actually at the end of the semester and on the day that I was supposed to turn my action research project into for grading. I had sent my professor my research paper and done a mock presentation for my peers and my professors. I was very confident in my presentation and was excited to show off the work I had done. Although my ideas and project were accepted and supported, I found that the way I presented my data was not the way that had been expected of me. After I had a pretty serious learning moment, which is a nice way of having a little bit of a meltdown, I was able to pull myself together and use this mishap as a reflective piece of my project. I knew that I knew that my confidence in my project throughout the semester had led me to not ask for the help that I needed, and I believe that if I had reflected more, I would have realized that I needed a little bit help on the data presentation because I had never done anything like that before. Asking for help has never been something I've been good at, and I learned the importance of humility through this learning moment. EDUC 580 and the whole TESOL graduate program has taught me an immense amount about ESL learning and teaching, as well as myself as an educator. I find myself implementing techniques I learned from my professors into my own classes. I'm still incredibly interested in English as an international language and how to create a working EIL framework for each of my classes to raise confidence. But the most important lesson I have learned from this whole journey is that educators are always learning and evolving. They're always making mistakes, always trying new things, and that collaboration and asking for help is a necessary part of this profession. I've only been out of school for about 9 months, and I already miss the community that it provides. I hope to earn my PhD one day and believe that the skills and groundwork I've developed throughout all of my classes at USD will make me well prepared for my next journey. Thank you very much.